Hi, this is Billy Wagner, and this is the Phillies Show.
Hey, everybody. Ruben Amaro Jr., Jim Salisbury, Todd Zolecki. It is Monday, May 19th, 2025. Guys, how are we doing on Monday?
Spectacularly well.
Good. Jim, how are you doing, buddy?
I'm doing better than the Phillies front office.
Yeah, we're going to get into that for sure.
I noticed you had Billy Wagner introducing the show. Is that because of the crisis at closer?
Yes. Every once in a while, I'll try to tie a theme into whoever our intro is.
I see what you did there, Todd.
This is a thinking man's show, thinking woman's show. So if you got to be thinking, you got to be on your feet, ready to rock and roll when you turn on the Philly show. But yeah, that was a little nod to what transpired on a wild Sunday morning and then a fun Sunday afternoon. The Phillies sweep the Pirates this weekend at Citizens Bank Park. Friday night, Bryce Harper gets his 1,000th career RBI, joins this historic group of one of the youngest guys to have 1,000 RBIs, 1,000 runs scored, 1,000 walks. Saturday night, Zach Wheeler, ridiculous. I mean, I was looking into some of his numbers on Saturday, and he's pitching as well or better than he has at any point in the last 4 years. You sit there and go wow, I wonder what this could look like at the end of the year if he's healthy. And then Sunday, the Phillies win 1-0. Mick Abel has this historic debut, MLB debut for the Phillies, outduels Paul Skenes, 6 scoreless innings, 9 strikeouts, no walks. But then before the game, of course, the big news that José Alvarado has been suspended 80 games for taking a performance-enhancing substance, doesn't get paid, will not pitch in the postseason. What a weekend. What a week.
When I say I'm doing better than the Phillies front office, I mean, I'm, kind of kidding and exaggerating, because today was a good day. I should say Sunday was a good day for the Phillies front office. They got one of their number one picks who had sputtered a little bit in the minors. They got him to the big leagues, and he delivered. Mick Abel did a great job going back to AAA, but he's got to go with a good taste in his mouth, feeling like he can get back here someday, and that all the improvements he's made, they're kind of, they're taking hold, and he saw results, and that's great, and that's great for an organization. But this José Alvarado suspension is a major headache. It's a major concern. To me, it's a major blow in the short term, in the present, potentially the long term. I mean, he's not available for October. This is a team built for October. He's your number one bullpen weapon. He's having a great all-star season, and now you've lost him for 80 games and the postseason. It could have long-ranging impact, because now if somebody in multiples don't step up and fill that hole in the bullpen, that significant humongo hole in the bullpen, they're going to have to maybe bite hard and part with someone they might not want to part with to get the bullpen help they need, because this is all about winning and winning now. And if there's a hole there, they need to fix it. Mm-hmm. And there's been a hole created by José Alvarado, one of my favorite guys in that locker room. Great guy, big heart, good person, made a mistake, was irresponsible, and has hurt his teammates.
I agree, Jim. A lot to unpack, obviously. But if I'm sitting in the front office, the biggest part of this is that I will not have this man available to me for the postseason. Yeah. This is what it's about. And that's the biggest thing, and the biggest takeaway I have from this is that they're going to have to replace that person, or someone will have to replace him. It might be internal, it might not. But it was a bullpen that struggled from the beginning and really has picked up nicely over the last probably 20 games or so. But that said, I mean, you're looking at other guys having to step forward. It's nice to see what some other guys have done, but the biggest blow to me, they don't have them available for the playoffs, man, and that's a problem.
Totally agree, because this team is built. $300+ million payroll, stars up and down the roster, 3 trips to the postseason, feeling like this is the year you can, complete the unfinished business, and you don't have that weapon for October, the month that's going to define this season. Oh my God, it's a, I used the word terrible today in front of Dombrowski, and he took exception, but I stick by it.
I agree. And let's talk about the short-term solutions, potential short-term solutions, and then let's look at the potential long-term solutions right after these words.
Kratz, I'm going to let everyone in on a little secret. I am not a fan of carrying around physical cash. I go Cash App, where you can send, receive, or transfer money with family and friends. It's super easy. They've got your back too. Like if you're trying to send some money and you maybe put in the wrong account name, they'll be like, hey, this is a sketchy account. Are you sure you want to send this? Cash App has your back. They do it safe, securely, easily, and fee-free.
And all you got to do is download the app, and Scott can actually pay for his half of dinner.
Exactly. For a limited time only, new Cash App users can use our exclusive code to earn some additional cash. For real, there's no catch. Download Cash App, sign up. It's very easy, and use our exclusive referral code Territory in your profile. Send $5 to a friend within 14 days, and you'll get $10 dropped right into your account. Terms apply. That's money. That's Cash App.
We are back. So the Phillies on Sunday activated Jose Ruiz from the injured list. They're going to make another move on Monday when they option Mick Abel back to AAA. But so it sounds like the short-term solution we kind of know. They're going to try to make do with what they have. They're going to try to lean more on Jordan Romano, Matt Strom, Ryan Kerkering. But then, Rob Thompson and Dave Dombrowski said, yeah, we're going to have to lean more on Joe Ross, Jose Ruiz. So that's the short-term answer. Of course, the trade deadline is at the end of July. They're going to have to, like you said, Jim, bite hard and maybe give up somebody they don't want to give up, or two or more, depending on how everybody else is pitching, and try to bulk up this bullpen. I mean, Ruben, we asked Dave Dombrowski this earlier and said, boy, do you really think somebody's going to have you hold you over the barrel? He says, the price is going to be high regardless. But don't you think teams are going to be holding the Phillies over the barrel right now if they wanted to jump on something right now, or even as it gets closer to July 31st?
Of course, I would think so. There's no question about that. I mean, especially when teams know that they're sort of hell bent to add a piece. I think what the front office is going to do, and this is something that I would consider doing, is to let things play out as far as Aaron Nola is concerned, get him right, get him pitching, get him back in the rotation. And at that point, I do believe that there's a possibility if you can slide a guy like Taijuan Walker further and further back into the bullpen to see if he can do leverage innings. And you find that out probably sometime in June or July to see if this guy can actually do it. And if he can do it, then you ride it. If he can't do it, then you really are probably hell-bent on trying to get that back-end bullpen piece. I think they're going to be trying to do that anyway. But if you want to, try to work it out internally, I think that's one of the solutions that they should try. And I think that Rob Thompson and others, maybe Caleb Cotham, would think that the way he's thrown in the bullpen a couple of times Taijuan Walker is at least an option and a possibility. Now, you don't know if that's what's going to happen, but I think it's something to explore, and it's something that if I was sitting in that seat, that's exactly what I would try to do. In the meantime, obviously, what I would want to be working on is trying to find the solution. Which is the player I want to target, or players that can help this team, and try to see whether I can work out a deal. The fact that Mick Abel actually pitched the way he did could help in so many different ways. One, it could help the Phillies use him as a big piece. It could also help them as far as their overall depth, see how they want to maneuver otherwise. But I think this is a really, really big thing for him to have performed the way he did, because it adds the depth that they need if, in fact, they have to really bite the bullet and give up some real talent to get the talent they need to put them over the top.
I agree with you. That starting pitching depth is so important right now, and they have an abundance of it, because your first obligation is to find a solution from within. I hear what you're saying about Tyler, about Taijuan Walker. They were down a man in the bullpen anyway, in my opinion.
Right.
They needed to pursue an arm in the bullpen anyway. I like firepower out there. I don't know if Taijuan Walker's stuff is going to play in that role, but hey, take a peek, see what happens. They're 10 over 500. I think this week they're going to take over first place in the National League East, by the way, and see what happens. But to me, I just see this ending up with them having to make a deal for somebody in leverage. I mean, thank goodness Romano has put it together and put it together well. Big save on Sunday. I mean, that was a tight game. You lose that game, how demoralizing if you had lost that game.
He said that too.
You know, on the day that you lose your big bullpen gun, the bullpen did a hell of a job behind the kid Abel. So it was almost like wounded tiger. Sometimes, you know, the wounded tiger in the jungle, he fights the hardest. Right. And it was like, you know, today that bullpen, they were wounded and they fought the hardest.
So Dave was asked about Ranger Suarez because, you know, even before he came back from the injury list, it's like, could he go to the bullpen? Could he go to the bullpen? He said, not right now. Not right now. Short term, not right now. He's already said blanketly, Andrew Painter, not an option. Will not be an option. Don't even think about him as option. That will not happen. So
and I agree with it. I agree with that. If he's on the October roster, he can give you a short spurt in an opener role.
Right. So
not in the bullpen.
Right.
You got to get him ready before the game.
But he did allow the possibility that, you know, he didn't say anybody by name, of course, but he did say in the postseason, we'll have a surplus of starters. And then in the postseason, you might be able to convert one of these guys in the bullpen. It could be Ranger Suarez, of course. Jim, I think you mentioned a week or two ago, wouldn't Christopher Sanchez look interesting in a bullpen role in October? You know, that, you know, hard throwing lefty with that great changeup, that to me makes a lot of sense. Would you guys consider Mick Abel? And, you know, just based off what you saw today, is that somebody you would toy with, even if not in the postseason? Would you mess with it? And
I might
in the regular season.
I might. He's not coming off Tommy John surgery like He's not coming off an injury like Painter. I might give that a shot. He showed a lot of firepower on Sunday up to 99. And when I raised that Christopher Sanchez thing a couple times here, it's incumbent on everybody top to bottom being healthy, everybody top to bottom pitching well. So you can go to him and say, hey, Christopher, we are stacked in the rotation. You go to the bullpen, you have a chance to impact every game in the month of October. But it's only if everybody's pitching well. If Nola's shaky, I don't know you can do it.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, Dombrowski talked about it, and I think he's going to I think you're in a position when you have as many starters as they potentially could have if they indeed stay healthy. You're talking about the possibility of having 5 to 7 of them that you could roll out there. And if you're in a position to have them all healthy at the same time, you can sort of pick and choose which guy you want to utilize and which guy that you think will handle, you know, the heartbeat that it takes to pitch in the 8th inning, to shut down a game. You have to have not only the stuff, but you got to have the gumption. You got to have the cojones. You have to have that guy who knows how to handle failure and has handled failure and be able to bounce back from it. Talked to Pat Gillick a lot about this. Would like to have, in a perfect world, young starting pitching and veteran guys in the bullpen, because the veteran guys have been through the wars. They've bounced back. They've struggled. They've been hurt. They picked themselves back up and been able to bounce back. And in my opinion, I'd rather go with a guy who has that, you know, who has more of that reputation or experience than going to a young kid and saying, here, I'm handing you the baseball. Now you get 3 outs in a 1-run game, and we're trying to get to the next level of the playoffs. That's a hard thing to ask a young player to do.
But maybe you have that guy in Romano, and maybe you can ask the young guy to help in the 7th. You know, I don't know, but these are all just – I was really – after the Sunday game, I thought Bryce Harper there's a guy that gets it. And he actually was, you know, was asked about, do you think they need help from the outside? And he said, the problem with this is people now know how bad we need it, and they're going to, you know, we're in a tough spot. He kind of, you mentioned, do you feel like you're over a barrel? He kind of strongly alluded to that. Didn't you think, Todd?
I did think that, but it's interesting. Like, I think everybody already knew, even if Alvarado, this had never happened. I think people know that the Phillies in July, before that, we're going to try to get a relief pitcher. Now, I guess there's a lot more urgency in that. We've talked about it, or there is a lot more urgency in that, but I feel like and Dave Dombrowski, I think he did say this today. He's like, well, if you make a fair offer for somebody, they're not going to really turn it down if you end up paying what they want to get. So it's not like, I just want to throw this as an example. I'm not saying this is going to happen because they're playing well right now, but say Ryan Helsley, if the Phillies said, we'll give you Aiden Miller and Mick Abel for Ryan Helsley, I can't imagine the Cardinals going, we want one other guy. We're not doing it and guess unless we get Eduardo Tate. Maybe they would, but I think if a team sees a really attractive package for one of their players, they would ultimately say yes to it. But yeah,
but as much as they were, eyes open for the trade deadline, looking to add, I mean, with Alvarado dealing, with Romano improving, with Kirkering improving, with Strom, maybe there was a chance that the pickup could have been more marginal, I'll just throw out the Bednar name from Pittsburgh. Mm-hmm. And now it might have to be more difference making, or closer to top of the scale. It's just, who knows?
And honestly, guys, sitting in that seat right now, and I've been there in that situation where the whole world knows that. I mean, when Chase Utley went down, and the whole world we needed a second baseman, and it ended up being a Gucci. We ended up going to get him. We knew that it was going to be tough to get. We seemed to have it matched up. The reality of it is, from now until the trade deadline, there may be 40,000 different things that happen that your priority may even change more. Right now, it's the pen. Everybody's talking about the pen and Alvarado, and it was weak before, and now it's, but it's been better. But the reality of it is, you may need a second baseman down the road. Somebody might get hurt. You may need an outfielder. You may, be able to go get X, Y, or Z. And so your needs may change as you go here. Right now, yeah, of course. You lose a big bullpen guy, you like to replace that big bullpen guy. But hopefully they can do something to at least hold them over, Band-Aid it for a little while and see whether someone can step forward in those roles. And if not, then they got to go get it. If so, then the priority may change down the road.
Yeah, I don't think this is happening in this next week or two anyway, right? I mean, you don't see trades happen too much in May, and so because I'm sure immediately a lot of people are going to wonder, are they going to go out? They got to get somebody now. They got to get somebody now. I just don't think that's going to happen now. You might have to wait a little while to see how things develop. So,
yeah, this is not a
wrap, and that's going to be a hard thing to do. You're talking about Helsley. He's a free agent at the end of the year. You're getting that guy for 2 months,
right? So yeah, that's what I mean. That's kind of why I mentioned him is if the Phillies called up the Cardinals, say they fell out of the race and Helsley's pitching great, and you go, we'll give you our top position player prospect and the guy that just shoved, was throwing 99 with a great breaking ball in his major league debut and looks like he's figured stuff out, for a guy that we're only have for 2 more months. I can't imagine the Cardinals or somebody saying no, but I guess you never know. So, all right. So that's Jose Alvarado. Guys, it's Monday.
Can I say one other thing about Jose Alvarado?
Yes, sir.
So Dombrowski said that this substance was to help him lose weight. I mean, it was a testosterone-based substance. You're looking at his number. His velo was down a tick last year. Strikeout rate was down a tick last year. This year, they are both up. Mm-hmm. So there was
it seemingly had some effect. But I looked back at it. The sinker was 2 miles an hour faster this year, and the slider, cutter, whatever you want to call it, was 1 mile an hour faster this year. So a little bit more effective as well.
And the strikeouts were significantly up.
Who knows? I mean, even mentally, he probably felt more confident in his stuff overall.
And then,
but as I said before, you can do nothing about it now, so it means nothing.
Right. Rob Thompson said, we're looking at this as an injury. We're looking at this injury, and I totally understand what they're saying. Of course, an injury sometimes is unpreventable. This was something that he took and tested positive for. And
It was preventable.
Yeah, it was preventable. So I understand what they're saying, but this was a preventable thing that did not need to happen that has really hurt this team right now in terms of their chances of winning World Series.
Ruben, as a former Major League player who was in clubhouses with teammates, and as a former Major League general manager who ran teams, are you upset if you're a player with this guy? Do you feel like he let your room down? And as a GM, are you upset? Do you feel like he let your organization down? What is the mindset or the reaction, emotional reaction from those two standpoints? Because we're just goofy reporters. You're a big shot.
Oh, I'm not upset. I'm pissed off. If I'm a teammate, I'm pissed off. And I love José Alvarado. He's a guy that I really have a lot of respect for as a person. Nice man.
Mm-hmm.
Who knows why or how or what the motivation was? That's not for me to say. But as a teammate and as someone in the front office, if that were to happen, that would piss me off. Simply and as easily as I could say it.
And I think it's got to use your expression, piss off that front office. I think Dombrowski was very calm and about it, because I think that's what a good leader does. He doesn't show panic out in the public eye. But I got to think upstairs he wanted to probably slam his desk.
Do some snapping.
Right.
Snappage.
So he can be back. Jose is eligible to return on August 19th. August 19th. That's when the 80-game suspension ends. So he can help them out the final 6 weeks of the season or so. But it does have, even beyond that, long-term ramifications. He's got a club option for 2026. So does that influence, what does he look like when he comes back? Now you have to wonder. So,
right.
So anyway, guys, it's Monday. So it's time for Best Week by Manco and Manco. Manco and Manco, fellas, best week, because Manco is the best of the best. It's where we pick our best Phillies player, performance, play, whatever you want to give a shout out to.
I mean, isn't it a consensus? Is there a consensus here?
I think there's got to be consensus. I think it's got to be Mick. I think it's got to be Mick Abel.
It's got to be Mick Abel, man.
I mean, come on.
For so many different reasons. I mean, the news, number one, about Alvarado, the fact that he's pitching against Paul Skenes. He had struggled in 2024 as a prospect. And he made some mental, physical, emotional adjustments to have a really good start to the season. He's a guy that struggled with his command just overall in the minor leagues until this season. Really pitches well for like the last 3 or 4 times he's starting, comes to the big leagues and pitches against the Pirates and Paul Skenes, and a chance to sweep the Buccos. And he pitches like a freaking stud. A freaking stud, period.
And
it was just awesome. I like to read faces. I like to think about it. I'm reading his face on the mound, and he is unwavering, man. His delivery stayed consistent. He got the ball. He made his pitch. He got the ball back. He made the next pitch. And I loved his comments before and after about, just trying to be 1% better, just staying in the moment, just, playing the game, that it's a different game. Yes, same game, different space. All those things. I don't know what happened from 2024 to the beginning of this year in 2025, but something happened. This kid matured, and I am so impressed by the way he handled things.
It's a great call. He's going to get my slice of the Manco's pie as well. Though I really like what Jordan Romano did in that 9th inning, but good for Mick Abel. This is the guy who didn't have just command problems last year and the last 2 years in the minors. He had control problems. He's walking the building, and he goes 6 innings today, 9 strikeouts, 0 walks. 26 of his first 29 pitches on Sunday, strikes. And if, you're wondering what happened, this might be a great time to go back and queue up our conversation with Caleb Cotham from a few months ago. And he talked about Mick Abel and talked about meeting with him over the winter. And in this era of information and analytics and giving these guys a lot to process, sounds like they might might have thought they were giving him too much to process in the past. They pulled back, and maybe it's just happening for this kid. He's reacting and not overthinking things. So I think it's the flip side of information that sometimes a little bit of it can be too much. It can be a little too much, and maybe he's just thinking a little less and just letting it happen. And all of a sudden, he's throwing some strikes. He's off to 8 good starts in AAA. Comes up here and has a dynamite one on Sunday. So that conversation we had with Caleb Cotham might offer a little insight. I would just recommend. It was one of my favorite podcasts we've ever done. I would recommend folks going back and checking it out for a little insight on what they were trying to accomplish with Mick Abel.
Yeah, I think it was something along the lines of like, what does it feel like to try not as hard, and just what is it like just to try to get outs and not necessarily think about, your mechanics in a certain moment or throwing a certain pitch a certain way, and oh my gosh, my slider's didn't move this way, or just like, what's it like just to get outs? Just focus on getting outs. Simplifying things. And Mick has said that word before multiple times, and just trying to simplify things, just trying to go out there and compete instead of thinking about everything before every single pitch. And that can kind of be a paralyzing type of thing. But man, Mick Abel's numbers, I just want to go over it was an historic. It wasn't just a good start. It was an historic start by Mick Abel. So 6 scoreless innings. First Phillies pitcher to throw 6 scoreless innings or more in his major league debut since Jared Eichhoff in 2015. I think it's only been done 12 or 13 other times in Phillies history. So Mick Abel joins that club. He strikes out 9, as you said. That tied Curt Simmons in 1947 for the most strikeouts in a MLB debut by a Phillies pitcher since at least 1901. He allowed no walks. So 6 scoreless innings, 9 strikeouts, no walks. He is one of only 3 pitchers since at least 1901 to pitch 6 or more scoreless, 9 strikeouts, no walks. Shota Imanaga did it in April 1st of 2024. Nick Kingham did it in April 29th, 2018. So he's one of 3 pitchers in baseball history to do those 3 things in his major league debut. His second pitch of the day was 99 miles an hour. He had touched that number only once this season with the Iron Pigs. I went back and looked at all of his tracked pitches over his minor league career. It's all like you missing his AA rating numbers and whatnot, but he had only hit 99 like 3 other times in his minor league career tracked pitches. A lot of first pitch strikes, 4-seam fastball, averaged 97.3 miles an hour today. And I laugh only because he had averaged 95.6 this season for the Iron Pig. So he was feeling the adrenaline at Citizens Bank Park on Sunday. He was feeling.
I got to say a couple of things about. Let me say a couple of things about what you just mentioned as far as the numbers are concerned. There are so many times that a young player comes to the major leagues and that 95, 94, whatever stone, all of a sudden it's 92, 93. It's not quite the same. Because the ball feels a little heavy, you're not feeling really comfortable, you're squeezing it a little bit, your ass is a little tight, and you're not letting it fly. That shows me a lot. The fact that his velocities just in general were up shows me that this guy's got a little gumption. Mm-hmm. And it also, the other part of it is, and I just think this is just fantastic for me, for this kid to sort of be able to block out all the BS and to mentally focus. That's a really hard thing to do when you are taking the mound or you're getting your first at bat or you're doing whatever. There's so many things swirling around. And for him to be able to bear down and focus in that way and to have that kind of adrenaline and to be able to make his pitches is just tremendous. And it's a bright light for me to watch. It was one of the best baseball games I've seen in a long time. Mm-hmm. I mean, the best baseball games in completion, just because of the entertainment factor. And there were no home runs. And to me, the way he handled things, man, it was a really cool thing to see.
And it was 1 hour and 59 minutes. It was a sub 2-hour game.
Beautiful as that.
And then I wanted to jump out of the press box when I overheard a reporter saying that was the quickest game of my lifetime.
Yes. Yes.
What was like the previous quickest one?
It was I tweeted it out earlier because I looked at that. I said that has to be some sort of, I mean, I was thinking like maybe a Roy Halladay or Cliff Lee game was up there. It was the shortest 9-inning game, Phillies game, since April 29th, 1998. The Reds' Pete Harnish outdueled Mike Grace in Cincinnati 1-0. That game was 1 hour and 58 minutes.
I played in that game, I think.
I covered it.
I think I may have played in that game.
Let me see this, Ruben. I'm going to pull this up real quick.
I don't know if I played in it.
And
but
some reporter said,
bench.
one of the writers in the press box says, "That's the shortest game of my lifetime." I wanted to just go right off the upper deck.
Guess who pinch hit for Mike Grace in that game? One Ruben Amaro Jr. Ruben, you played in that game. How about
Really?
that?
What did I do?
I don't know. You went 0 for 1. I know you didn't get a pinch hit. Let's.
That was a good pinch hitting year for. Oh no, it wasn't.
96. You were the greatest pinch hitter on earth in 96.
It was a 4-3. Ruben, you grounded out. So I'm sure it was a good quality at bat, though. That's all. But that yeah. So that was a lot. I mean, it was a lot of fun just to watch Mitch play. And how about this? Paul Skenes too. He had he was pretty. He was obviously tremendous as well. But Paul Skenes after the game said this about Mick Abel. Said, "I was fired up to pitch against him today. I've never met him. I think we probably played in some tournaments growing up, but I remember him being the guy in high school." He said, "The stuff's electric," from what guys were saying coming back to the dugout. The stuff is electric. I'll probably rewatch his start and I'll watch his next start. Cool to pitch against him. So even Paul Skenes was like, that was pretty cool.
Skenes was electric. He had 22 swing and misses, and Abel had 18.
So that was the other thing I wanted to say about Abel. 74% strike ratio.
Yeah.
74. That was insane. Those numbers are amazing. Those are Roy Halladay type shit.
Well, especially since you just talked about the velo going up and seeing it tick up. He also then would just paint something on the corner. He would drop these curveballs in the lower, right at the bottom of the zone for a strike. I think the first strike out of the game on Neil Cruz, I think it was looking, if I'm not mistaken. There's one strikeout in the first inning or two that they got a guy looking just painting everything with 98, 97, 99. It was a lot of fun to watch.
So can I say a couple of things? One, I know it was probably planned already, but it made some sense. You would think that you would have a guy like JT, the veteran, catching him. I think Rob Thompson made a great decision of allowing Marshawn to catch him. He's caught him. He knows him. He feels comfortable with him. And I think that after the game, I think Mick Abel actually acknowledged that. That's one really, really cool thing. And I just feel like people keep talking about, how come you didn't leave him in for that extra inning? How come he was dealing? He's only, however many pitches. Guess what, man? That was 84 pitches that he threw. As far as being in the major leagues and the stress that is associated with those pitches, that's like throwing 150 pitches for the kid. Okay, because throwing 84 pitches in AAA when no one gives a crap about what you do, compared to what the scrutiny and every single pitch and pitching against major league hitters, dude, the stress is way higher. So glad he got him out of that game and had him feel really good about himself. And it ended up being a historic day for the man. So anybody who's getting on Rob Thompson for pulling him out of the freaking game, wrong, completely wrong. And I'll go to my grave to say it.
No, I agree. I totally agree. The stress of the environment, sellout crowd, Paul Skenes, bad news on the doorstep in the morning. Now it's a 0-0 game. Then it's a 1-0 game. It's tight all the way. That was a stress-filled performance, and the young man conquered it.
And I always go back to what Charlie Manuel, I've said this a million times in the show. Charlie Manuel would always take a guy. Well, why'd you take out Roy or Cliff or some young guy was coming up? And he's like, I want to take him out in a good part of the game. So he leaves the ballpark feeling good about himself, So he went out there. It's perfect. I agree with you guys 100%.
Perfection.
So, yes.
I really hope on Sunday night before he drove back up to Lehigh, he and his family got a nice steak in Center City.
You can book that they did. You can book it.
Absolutely.
That whole family's flying high. The girlfriend, the brothers, the sister, the coaches, They're all there and they're enjoying it, and they should, because they all had a piece of the action.
Absolutely. Yeah. He seemed to really want to enjoy the day as much as possible, from the drive to the ballpark.
Man.
Yeah, to the drive out of the ballpark on Sunday night. So it was awesome. Guys, wanted to mention we're giving away a Manco and Manco gift card as we wrap up best week by Manco Manco. We're giving away another Manco Manco gift card. Simply follow the Philly Show at the Philly Show on Instagram for a chance to win. Go into the post that we just put on our Instagram page. Write in your favorite Phillies moment of the season. I have a feeling if people are listening to this episode, they might drop in Mick Abel's major league debut. That might be one to consider. So
one of my favorites. It might be my favorite.
It was cool. It really was cool. And again, you just feel great for the guy, everything he's kind of gone through over the years as a first round draft pick and struggling and whatnot. So Jim, you said at the top of the show, you think the Phillies are going to overtake the Mets this week in the National League East?
Oh, no. I don't think.
Who knows?
I think the Metsies go to the Bo Sox. Tough assignment. And the Phillies got to go make some hay out in the Matt Gelb's favorite town, and
Colorado, Denver.
And beat up on the Rockies. And I'm not.
Is that because he likes some of the product that's available there, or is that for some other reason?
He's an outdoorsy man.
There are a number of reasons.
There's an outdoorsy man out. He likes to get out there and hike the Rockies.
He likes to be in nature.
He likes a little nature action. Absolutely. I am not going to be in Denver. I love Coors Field.
That's bummed out. I'm not going to be there either.
That's top 10 ballpark for me for sure.
Really? It's just it's weird baseball. It's just too big.
It's big, but it's beautiful.
It is. Yeah,
it's pretty, but it's not baseball for me.
Oh no.
And that franchise is a bit of a disaster right now.
Oh boy. Big time.
I never thought I would see the White Sox set a major league record in losses in a season, but I certainly didn't think the Rockies would challenge them and maybe blow by them in 2025.
That's why the Phillies this week, they got to squash them.
Yeah.
And then get into first place, and I'm telling you what, I'm having fun with this season. Watching this season, it's been very entertaining so far.
Great. It's great stuff. There's a lot of things to unpack, a lot of things unfolding, and there's a lot of moving parts, and there's a long way to go, baby.
There's a long
way to go and a short time to get there. No, I'm kidding. That's Smokey and the Bandit, right?
Is that right? Yeah, it's Smokey and the Bandit.
I love that movie.
Great call.
That is a great movie. So Monday night, 8:40 p.m. Eastern. Remember, 8:40 p.m. Eastern, because they're playing out in Colorado. You have Christopher Sanchez against Kyle Freeland. Kyle Freeland has really struggled this season. He's got an ERA of over 6. Tuesday, 8:40 p.m. Eastern, you have Jesus Luzardo against Antonio Senzatela. He's got an ERA over 6. And then Wednesday, the series finale in Colorado, you have Taijuan Walker, who's taking Aaron Nola's spot in the rotation. He is facing Carson Palmquist, who is 0-1 with 11.25 ERA. I think that's a real small sample size. I don't have his season, how many innings this guy's pitched this season.
Yeah, that offense has a chance to do some damage, get their numbers up, and get rolling into Sacramento.
Yeah, no doubt. So, guys, that was fun. We covered a lot, man. José Alvarado, Mick Abel. We'll be back later this week to wrap up the Rockies series, or talk about the Rockies series, and we got a lot more stuff going on this week. So,
hey, lively pod, mates. We'll be smelling you later.
Smell you, Jim.
The Philly Show is brought to you by the Foul Territory Network. Subscribe to The Philly Show on YouTube and wherever you get your podcasts. If you like us, give us a review. Follow us on Instagram, TikTok, X, Facebook, and Threads. Find Ruben's analysis before, during, and after Phillies games on NBC Sports Philadelphia, on the Sports Radio 94 WIP Morning Show, and MLB Network. Find Jim at allphly.com. Find me at MLB.com, the Phillies Beat newsletter, and MLB Network.